paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And
I
yes,
don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. I'm Corbin Hostler, joined as always by DJ and Jason. We've got a couple special guests on the show today. We're going to have some fun stuff to talk about. We just got done doing our usual Monday night stream. You can find on our Brainstorm Brewery Twitch channel. We killed everybody in Among Us. So, basically, it's the perfect way to spend a night. So tonight we are going to talk about something a little different. Now, if you are tired of hearing about how magic is terrible and how all the new stuff is going to be horrible and how everything's getting banned and blah, 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 well, I'll tell you what, we've got something else to talk about tonight for at least a little bit. We are going to introduce something new in this episode, new to you, certainly new to some of us, Pokemon finance. Now, if that's not something you're interested in, I think it'll still be pretty interesting to hear what we've got to say. But if it is something you know about, if you played as your kid, you may be interested in hearing more about it in the very quickly developing market for that sort of stuff. And to talk about that, we have a couple guests tonight. We've got Liz and Paul on. They are two Magic vendors we've had on this show before, you know them, and now they are, I guess, Pokemon vendors as well. So welcome to the show.
It's good to be here.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, well, go ahead and remind our listeners real quick. Liz, you can go first. Where people can find you on the internet and sort of what it is you do in the magic world.
You can find me on Twitter at Devoted Druid. And for the most part, I just kind of buy and sell cards. And I was a GP buyer when that was a thing. I think the last time I was on was right after the last GP I went to. That's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, you can find me at PRFEUDO on Twitter. That's the only social media I really use, and links to my other stuff are in the web or the homepage or the profile of that account. I'm usually a GP buyer. Like Liz said, that isn't really a option anymore. I guess you could say right now I'm in the import-export business.
Sure. Well, we have to talk before we get into other games, but I mean, we have you all on. What about Commander Legends? What is your take, from a vendor perspective on the product and what you're seeing and what you expect?
I'm really excited for it, just as like someone who plays Magic sometimes. As a vendor, it's one of those things where I'm gonna have to wait like a month and a half to buy in, and then wait another year for things to rebuy, rebound. But it just kind of feels like every master set.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get.
I didn't know they could do that with Commander, to be honest. It obviously makes sense, but well, no, go ahead.
The thing that's interesting about a set like Legends, this is like kind of getting in the weeds, but like from like a business perspective, a set like Legends is actually really nice during the pandemic because pre-selling singles is actually super, super labor intensive. It takes time. It takes time and proximity. You're under a time crunch.
It's miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to do safely during COVID. And Commander Legends being such a juiced product means that you don't have to pre-sell any singles. You're just going to sell all your boxes. So it's, you have a shipping guy and some pallets and you're pretty much good. So in that sense, it's a slam dunk for vendors. They're going to make a bunch of money and not have to do any work.
That, and it's also like a premier product. It's the first of its kind for what it's doing with drafts.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Like draft or sealed, right? Like people are just going to buy it, and whether or not they abide by social distancing, like some people are going to buy it and crack it and draft it with their friends, and some people are going to buy it specifically to draft it and crack it with their friends 6 months down the line. Like it's just
this is like a. Sorry, go ahead.
I've said this before on the podcast, but like there's always just a huge incentive to whenever Wizards experiments and tries like the first of something to just buy it.
Yeah.
Like the Commander 2011 decks, it's like we're gonna do Commander precons, I guess, and now like sealed version of the Zedger deck is still like $100+ whatever, and like, oh, the first From the Vault Dragons like $1 million seal. Like anytime they do the first of something, it's usually worth just like looking into.
Yeah, there's a very reasonable argument that Conspiracy died miserably so that Commander Legends could run.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they did 2 sets of Conspiracy. It's time to try something else. I mean, surely we'll get Conspiracy 3 at some point.
That was Battle Bond.
Yeah, I mean, they have this product. They have one of these products every year. I mean, you can be sure if they're going to keep churning out a new draft environment product every year, we will eventually have the return of Conspiracy. I mean, we have the return of Monarch.
It's true.
Which is, I think, a really great Commander mechanic.
It is a very unfortunate cube mechanic, however.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Monarch
Just
is super
power
useful in
level, or-
1v1. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Palace Jailer's a hell of a card.
Well, it's also, from what I understand, extremely powerful in Pauper, probably for sort of the same reasons.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like
you know,
there's a Boros Pauper deck, or at least there was. I haven't touched the format in several months, but
Yeah, from what I've heard that some of the cards in Commander Legends, and I think Gavin Verhey even spoke to this on Twitter, are actually going to be very impactful on the Pauper format for, whatever. There's some amount of people who play that. It made some cards relevant back when Pauper boomed a couple years ago.
That's true. And Gush is still expensive.
Yeah, what is that, Jason?
It's my beer, Corbin.
You held it up. I figured you might want to shout it out.
No. Like, I was like, oh, I won't say anything, so I'd interrupt, and then you interrupted yourself. And then you, like, blamed it on me. I don't understand.
I just thought you might want to shout it out.
I did get this beer for free. So, if you have the choice between buying at, like, a smaller place and, like, a huge place, maybe go to the smaller place and hang out a couple times and then make friends with the person that does the ordering, because then you can get stuff that is allocated. So
Yep.
I got a bunch of allocated beer just for, like, knowing the beer guy, and he gave me a bunch of free shit, and then he let me buy a bunch of Limit 1 shit. And, like, all it took was not going to, like, a Mega Bev or a Benny's or, like, whatever you have in your area. Like, shop local. It's the same thing as networking in MTG Finance, right?
Right.
Like, you get that handshake, you get that intro, you, like, hook him up with something, and then he hooks you up. So, like, as a result of having personal relationships, I got some allocated beer set aside, and I got some free stuff, and
Get them into Magic,
I
Jason.
feel like I would have spent the same amount at, like, a Mega Bev and, like, not gotten anything out of it. So
You
I'm
gotta
just
get-
remarking that some of the same skills from MTG Finance kind of translate into your daily life. So, like, even with a pandemic, with us not being able to buy Magic the Gathering as easily as we could before, and, it's a little tougher to sell it unless we're selling online. I don't know. Keep your skills sharp and, like, get into some other shit. Maybe, I don't know. I'm
I'll
just
say-
rambling here, drinking a free beer.
I'll say that somebody messaged me. I was trying to sell some bulk Magic, and they said, "Are you accepting trades?" And I said, "Well, I guess so. Yeah, sure. All right, you're going to send me some Magic stuff." They go, "All right, well, I've got this Walking Dead signed card," and I'm like, "What? We're doing Walking Dead again? I don't even know that was out." But no, it turns out it's not a Magic Walking Dead card. It's a Walking Dead card signed by an actor. They wanted to trade for bulk Magic.
Which actor?
I don't watch the show. I'll go look real quick though.
That's true. Jason is literally the guy.
You made the
By the
trade,
power
or-
of editing, we will know very soon.
All right. While Corbin looks that up, just so we don't have dead air, I will tell the brief exchange of my favorite trade offer for a Magic card, and I might even be able.
Was
to...
it a gun?
It's a gun. I think I've told this story a few years back, but yeah.
Let's hear it.
I mean, that's the story, right? Like, I had a listing up for bulk Magic cards on Facebook, sell for $6 per thousand or whatever, back pre-pandemic, and somebody messaged me out of the blue, and then I think one of the best parts of this was they messaged me in like November, and then I said yes, I take trades, and then they replied in like February. And they just said, would you trade for a 22 crack shot rifle? And then they just send me a picture of something that was probably a murder weapon.
Yeah, for sure.
They were trying to offload the evidence.
I will
Oh my
dig
God.
back. I will see if I can dig back in my Facebook Messenger and send it to JJ for the cast. But it was just, I did not accept the offer. I didn't want any sort of fingerprint dust. I didn't want any
Sure.
sort of involvement in that. But it was just
Well, I had the option
Someone
of...
tried to trade me a remote control car. He's like, "This car's worth $120, man." I was like, "Go sell it."
Give me your money.
I don't need to do every part of every transaction. Like, your job's worth $14 an hour. Should I go do your job and then I can have the money from your job to give you the cards? Like, what the fuck?
I don't know if I've told the Nissan Cube story on this show before, but I was at GP Niagara and I get a text from a local.
yeah, I was privy to that one.
And he said, "Hey, I noticed you were looking for a car on Facebook. I have this Nissan Cube. It's worth like $4K. I want to trade it for Magic cards." And I was at GP Niagara just like buying every Lotus that I could find and trading for every Lotus that I could find. And so I went on the mission to find a Lotus that was worth $4K. And it's actually pretty hard to find a Lotus that's worth $4K.
It would have... Yeah.
It was bent down the middle and water damaged and inked, but we got there.
And you got a car.
And I'm like 60,000 miles into that car, and it's driving great.
Wow. All right. What a deal.
You should have traded him for a cube.
Just like built a cube.
Like a cube for a cube. Like,
Yeah,
this
cube for a cube.
This cube is worth $4K.
Well,
Yeah, okay, that would have been way better.
well, but if she gets the Lotus and then trades that for an
Wow.
actual
I
Lotus
feel
card,
I
that's a
only
better
have the
trade-off.
You
opportunity.
should have traded for a Lotus, like an Esprit or something like that, like a real Lotus.
I only have the opportunity to become the owner of a signed Andrew Lincoln as Rick Grimes Walking Dead card.
That you couldn't remember who it was? It's one of the people on
I've
that
never
show.
seen it. I
It's
don't
the
know
main fucking
anything
character.
about it, man. Never seen an episode.
Corbin Hostler, everyone.
Never seen an episode in my life. However, listen to
it's
this.
a good
Listen to
magic
this. Listen to this. It says the AMC Walking Dead season 4, I think, authentic autograph, which means it's not a Walking Dead card signed by the guy. It's a signed card by the guy that they mass produced.
Hey, what's Andrew Lincoln's favorite Magic card? Coral Helm Commander. Coral? Get it, Coral? Coral Helm Commander? It's a merfolk, and he's always saying, "You know what?"
I've never seen the
People at
show.
home are laughing.
I think this got
People at
canceled.
home are laughing.
Between 5 minutes ago and now, I still haven't seen the show, so I don't get the reference. But I
That was
declined.
for everyone
I
else's
declined.
benefit.
The person said, I see quite a few online from $69 to $112.
Nice.
Nice range.
Nice.
Okay, like...
Nice.
I always love when people put the range as if the highest number matters.
Yeah, right. It's
I see
69
one
to
sold for
6,900.
14. I see one listed for 96. Well, it's probably 96 then.
Oh, man. All right, well, let's do
Speaking-
this before we derail
Corbin.
anymore. Let's do...
Hey, before we
Corbin.
move on, what do you got,
Corbin,
DJ?
you could have said, speaking of things from 1996, and then led into Pokemon.
Well, I was going to do Breaking Bulk and then do it.
Breaking Bulk's not from 1996, though.
Could be.
It could be, unless you're a coward.
Like 1996, I get when I pick an Ice Age card. So like 1996 bulk isn't even allowed.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
I've got an invasion card.
Okay.
Wow.
What? Go on.
It is
What
a
color?
red it's a red invasion uncommon.
Is it Firebrand Ranger?
I would say play the Jeopardy song, but that's in bad taste.
Whoa! Too soon.
Too soon.
Too
Every person in
soon.
Canada is super mad at you right now.
I love
Oh,
Alex Trebek.
our healthcare is the best up here, eh? Bet you wish you had socialized medicine like us, eh?
I watch a lot of Jeopardy. I really like Alex Trebek. I don't know what your card is, though.
He just wanted to hang on an extra couple of weeks and outlive Sean Connery and get the last laugh.
I got that joke. Yes, absolutely.
Chuck it, Trebek.
I did get that,
What's the
actually.
mallet?
DJ, no one knows what your card is. It's a bad pick.
It's Chaotic Strike.
What the fuck is Chaotic Strike? I haven't.
I've never
Okay,
heard of- I've
I
never heard
bought
of
boxes
this.
of that set, and I don't know what this is.
I have
It's
a
a
cube
1 in a
from
red
that
instant.
card.
Oh, no. It's really worth money.
Play Chaotic Strike only during combat after blockers are declared.
Oh, it's a
target
coin flip
creature
card.
and-
Up your butt. Up your butt with a coin flip card, you thumbless.
If you win the flip, that creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn, and then you also draw a card regardless of the coin flip. So
I'm
it's a
mad
cantrip.
because I already picked these out of bulk when Okun and Zinder split
Yeah.
were running around. Like
That card is
already
worth
knew
it
this
is a
was
dollar,
pick.
though.
And I
worth
made
money.
no money off of these, and now I get a chance to make no money off of them again. Because no one's going to build a Krark the Thumbless deck.
I mean,
If I wanted to flip coins, I'd play fucking Pokemon 99.
There we go.
there we go. That's
What?
what's coming up next. Let's finish this game. I've got a
That's
green.
how you segue.
I've got a green common from Scars of Mirrodin.
Blight Mamba?
Is it the snake that has infect?
It
That's
is.
Blight
You're
Mamba.
both right. It's Blight Mama. I tried to trick. I thought about tricking y'all because there's not that many green cards in that set worth money. But no, it's just people might know it. It's actually
Is
that's
the
it's a
2/1
75-cent card.
Flash Death's Touch?
No.
worth
No.
money?
No. It's
No.
it. Oh,
Ambush Viper?
no, Ambush Viper is not worth money.
The oversized Ambush Vipers are also not worth money.
Jeez.
Also, Ambush Viper isn't from this set.
Only Paul and Liz
No.
are going to get that one, and I'm okay with that.
All right, Jason, what do you got?
I at least make jokes our listeners will get. Mine is a black uncommon from Eldritch Moon.
Is it Haunted Dead?
It's not.
Is that the Skulk set? No, that Skulk wasn't in Eldritch Moon. It was just in Shadows.
Skulk perhaps was in Eldritch Moon.
Skulk was in Edge's Moon.
Oh.
It's Vampire Cutthroat.
Yeah.
Vampire Cutthroat is hard to block. And that's why people love to play Anawan the Ruin Thief. Vampire Cutthroat is a rogue. It is a vampire. And it drills people in the face and has lifelink. So Vampire Cutthroat is like a buck retail. So, like, this is a card I get in bulk all the time. And it's a buck retail. So, like, if you like cards that are worth, 200 times the bulk rate, perhaps select this and pull it out of your bulk.
All right. Well, there you go. Okay. Well, Liz, Paul, you want to? It's okay if you don't, but if you'd like to play the
You
game,
could also
you're more
just
than
pick
welcome to.
non-magic cards.
Yeah, hit us with some
That'll be
Pokemon
fun.
Folk.
I have an M19.
What's a crack shot 22 rifle?
There we go.
Hand loaded
Uh,
22 ammunition for after
Well, ammunition is expensive right now,
Sleepy
from what I
Joe
understand.
makes it illegal to have bullets.
Just what to exchange fucking stores with boomers in the apocalypse.
All right,
I
M19.
just
What?
saw a guy tweet going to church while I still have the right, and I was like, this guy's lucky I'm not president, or he'd be right. Sorry, only mosques are allowed to have services now.
Oh my god. I have an M19 blue creature.
Spectral Sailor.
Wrong rarity.
I was gonna say I thought that card was rare.
What's the rarity?
It's a rare.
Oh.
Is it is that a Sphinx?
It is not a Sphinx.
M19 blue creature? I do not know that set very well.
EJ, you should know this card. This is a card that your bosses want.
Ugh.
It sees play competitively.
It's
Yeah, I'll
Supreme
know
Phantom,
when
right?
you say it.
It is Supreme Phantom. Liz wins the prize.
Oh, yep. God, that card was an M19. That's so long ago.
It was, right?
It's true. Yeah, the card's like $1 on TCG. Buy lists in the US regularly hit 50 cents, and when international
$1.50 on TCG.
It would have
Oh.
been worth legitimate money if Pioneer was still a format.
It's in 600 EDH decks on EDH Rec.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, and that's actually like that card would be worth real money if Pioneer was a format that people played, because it at least at one point Spirits was one of the
Shacklegeist, our preview card.
could be, yeah.
But that card actually still arbitrage as well, Supreme Phantom. Like back when we still had GPs, like we were regularly paying like double TCG on it.
It was
I
very
remember,
cheap.
I remember we were paying 3s when TCG was like 150.
Yeah, it was always very
He did not
much cheaper
give
than it should have been.
DJ.
What?
He did not give a
Supreme Phantom doesn't give a
No, my boss who was paying double TCG
Oh, yeah.
GPs, which is what DJ was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We've been telling you for a few weeks about our friends over at the Original Magic Art Store. And today we want to actually take that a step farther. We love what they've going on over there. We love the access to artwork. They now have over 100 artists on the website. It's a big achievement. And we have actually an affiliate account over there that gives you a discount. So if you are interested in any of those things we've talked about before, getting the prints of arts, getting play mats, any of the stuff you want, you can just go to originalmagicart.store/Brainstorm Brewery, or you can just add the discount code BrewCrew to your checkout at the store to save 10% on every order of $10 or more. So look, this is a great website that we are talking about because we really do think they do great work and love, as we've talked about before, what they've added to the market in terms of bringing art to people and connecting people with an aspect of Magic that they love. So a couple of the recent additions include Angel of Destiny, Knight of Autumn, Ugin, Valakut Awakening, Imri, lots of great stuff. So please go to originalmagicart.store/Brainstorm Brewery. Check out everything they have to offer. All right. Well, Liz, did you want to throw one in?
I do. I wanna break bulk in a different game. I want to talk about. Let's move into Pokemon for a second here.
Let's do it.
I have a.
Give me a second.
I have a base set uncommon.
What
Actually,
what
no,
type?
sorry, it's a rare. It's a rare trainer from base set.
Professor Oak?
No, that's not a rare.
That's an uncommon.
It's not a rare. Wheel of Fortune isn't a fucking rare in Pokemon.
No.
Listen, man.
Wheel of Fortune is
No,
not
they
a rare.
didn't know how the cards. They didn't know how good they were.
Dude,
Is Bill rare or is Bill common?
Bill's a
Bill's
common.
common.
Pot of Greed's a common.
Pot
Yeah.
of Greed is also a common. Yeah. Force of Will is an uncommon in Alliances, so.
I mean,
It was no contagion.
did you say so? It's a rare trainer in base. Isn't that everything? Like,
No, there's like 3.
I'm gonna go with computer search.
Ooh, I think that's an uncommon.
Was Ultra
really?
Ball a thing? Wait, was Ultra Ball a thing yet?
No.
No,
Ultra
we were
Ball-
on Pokeballs only.
Are you on Imposter Professor Oak bullshit, Liz?
No.
That's a
I,
knock it. Yeah.
Imposter was base set. Imposter Oak Revenge was.
Oh, okay.
Was it maintenance?
Pokemon Breeder.
It is
Was
Pokemon
it-
Breeder.
Boom! We found my game.
Dude, Pokemon Breed, that's a dirty name for a card. Jesus.
If you think about what the card does, it's about right.
Yeah.
And
It turns your Squirtle into a Blastoise on turn 2.
An HP copy
Don't be squirtling around my Pokemon Breeder.
is over $2 for an HP one. A nearby copy is like $6.
Good to know.
You find
Well,
this
that-
Was this printed a lot?
That does listen.
Yeah.
This does lead us into what we're talking about today, which is Pokemon 99, the brainchild of Paul and Liz, and something that is not only is the format sort of taking the Pokemon world by storm, but the Pokemon world is taking the internet by storm, and we've seen a lot of it, and it's caused all this interest. So, Paul, Liz, I know it's a big story, but tell for people who just know what Pokemon is
Yes.
and had some cards 20 years
Logan
ago.
Paul Feudo,
What's
please
going
tell us
on?
about Pokemon?
Like, what's going on in the past year? Why are people talking about Pokemon? Why are people caring about Pokemon? And then talk about Pokemon 99.
So I'm gonna name drop some celebrities here.
That's okay.
Celebrity is actually a bold term for these people, but
Yeah.
Logan Paul, the YouTuber who like said some racist shit a couple years back, I think.
Yeah.
Also went and saw.
He's the one that went into like
corpses,
the Japanese suicide forest and
found a dead body.
Yeah.
Didn't he get punched in the face?
I hope
Did
so.
he like say he would fight
I hope
somebody
so.
and then?
Well, one of those, there's Jake and Logan Paul. Is that the other one? One of them is like MMA or something, but like, or boxing, but only with other like Instagram celebrities.
So anyway, Logan Paul.
Of course, yeah.
sold a graded 10 first edition Charizard to the rapper Logic, I think, for like 186K. Which brought a lot of attention to Pokemon, and since then, graded cards have exploded. The market for near mint anything in Pokemon is exploding, and Pokemon graded cards were already a lot more liquid than Magic ones. Like, Catherine made a point on Twitter the other day that, every single day, like 7 or 8 graded Charizards sell on eBay, whereas like one Lotus sells a week maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, so gosh, that's insane that it's that much.
I mean, it makes sense when you think about it.
It does make sense.
Like on every level of that market, from like mid-40s software guy who is really way too nostalgic for Pokemon Red and has 200K in his bank, all the way down to like millennial mom who like now uses Pokemon cards as good boy tokens for their kids. Like,
yeah, they're buying graded Charizards for real.
Well, like, I said on all scales, like,
yeah.
Down to
like
the reason Pokemon bulk is expensive.
Well, you were in the 93rd percentile on the LSAT, so you could get some good boy points.
It is completely predictable though. In fact, I guess I was smart enough to keep all of my Pokemon cards, but I can't say that I really predicted it, or I would have been getting a lot more Pokemon cards over the past decade. But it does make sense. It's literally the same trajectory as Magic, and you have a lot of people very nostalgic. This is basically, it feels like, anyways, the equivalent of when everyone found
card who doesn't know how to play Magic necessarily, but like many people that like Pocket Mans from the Game Boy games and shit like that. Like, we're just like, oh, this Charizard card is a collectible thing from a game I like. I feel like that's why Magic needs to get its ass on gear on the TV show.
Well, I mean,
once that TV show hits, and everyone's like, well, Magic is a household name now because of the TV show, which was just so awesome. Right?
That's probably what'll happen.
Like, it's going to be so good. It's going to talk about the exploits of all your favorite Planeswalkers, like all 5 of them that get mentioned.
And it's definitely going to get made at the show, by the way. It's a real show.
Oh, I hope not.
Definitely going to happen.
I really
Russo brothers, for real.
So you guys are going about...
It's a sequel to the movie.
The guys from Community, how did they get them?
You guys are going about it the wrong way. We need to pay Logan Paul to open up a box of Portuguese Ravnica.
That's true.
So the hype did a little bit, to bring us back on task a little bit. So the hype's a little bit more complicated than that. Because there's a lot of money coming in from sports cards looking at Pokemon now, especially because so much stuff's getting graded. And also people from like sneaker and like hype beats fashion, because the margins on that stuff has been getting kind of complicated. Because like the super limited stuff, the margin's still fine, but you can't get quantity. But like Adidas and Nike are releasing very heavy quantities of the normal products, which means like the 20% you used to make just isn't really there anymore. That's particularly true of like Yeezy 350s. So you're seeing a bunch of money sort of that like needs something to do, because like being super liquid right now is fairly loose considering how much like the rate that like the Fed is buying bonds. So they don't want to be liquid, so they're just trying to figure out a place to put their money. And so that's where you start to see some of these spikes in weird like very niche collectibles, where like, especially because like a sports card person can like look at PSA and go like, all right, there's 195 PSA 10 Charizards, whatever it is. It might be like 220 now. And they can relate that as an equivalent sports card. Like they understand like that type of scarcity.
Yeah, it's interesting because it sounds like, look, that's always been true of Magic too, but it sounds like Pokemon maybe have the mass recognition.
Following. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're talking about like, sports card taking an interest in it, they unit and Pokemon's, people know what Pokemon is even if they don't know about Pokemon.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier at least in theory, for
I think
someone to be
anybody who
interested
did some
in.
research when Bitcoin was like really topping out was like Magic has the benefit of the reserve list. So that always made it like a little bit safer. But now there's just so much money and like people that don't really want to do the research and just want to buy some bullshit that makes them happy aren't like non-Magic players investing in Magic. They're like Pokemon enthusiasts from their childhood that just want to like park their money in something that makes them happy. So
Yeah.
all
right. Well,
you're
before we
seeing all kind of weird stuff.
before we
all
get
kinda
into
weird
the
collectibles.
format, I do want to, just so people have an idea, what is a base set Charizard worth? Not Shadowless, not first edition. The Charizard most people are likely to have.
So a heavily played base set unlimited Charizard, I pay like between 180 and 220 depending on how bad it is.
Okay.
And I've been selling them for like 280 to 300.
Wow. So there you go, everybody. If you in your childhood remember that. Now, is it just Charizard because that's the most famous one, or is it all of those cards that are worth money these days?
So that's a complicated one.
A little bit more complicated.
I mean,
Yeah.
again, assume that our listeners may have some Pokemon cards at their mom's house, you know, that sort of thing.
Oh,
right?
if you were smart, you were like you were going on Craigslist and you were just buying Pokemon collections. Like, I don't know anything about Pokemon, but I know that like you can't really overpay if you just give them like $10 per K on everything.
Right. I mean, but say somebody doesn't have a Charizard. Say they've got a Chansey and a Scyther and a Kangaskhan or whatever else, right? Like, if they just have some Pokemon cards from back then, is there likely to be any money, right? Is that something people should be like, I'm going to go find my cards at my mom's house and look at them, that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on when they played. So, like, for example, like an HP like base set Chansey is like $10-12 on TCG Player. So like that's not nothing.
That's right. Yeah.
Similarly, like a non-foil Scyther Unlimited from Jungles, like between 7 to 10. More obviously if they're clean, but this is for like MP-HP. And particularly once you start to get post 1999 into like the end of the WotC era, some of that stuff is just like a true disaster.
It doesn't exist.
In terms of printing?
Yeah.
Both printing and pricing. So like an unlimited Typhlosion from one of the Neo sets, like HP, is just like $70, and the card's not. I mean, it's played in A format, kind of, but it's all nostalgia. It's the equivalent of like buying an Angus.
Who's nostalgic for Typhlosion?
I remember that card. I played that card.
My wife is listening to the cast, and she's very mad right now because that's like one of her favorite Pokemon.
Oh,
The thing about Jason,
some people like Typhlosion.
My wife's favorite Pokemon is Mareep, so like I get liking stupid shit.
Pokemon collectors are absolutely deranged. I dated a girl who like went out of her way to get a like Australia Pokemon Center only plush of the Pokemon Scraggy that cost her like $225.
Yeah.
Because she had to have every Scraggy. Like, there is someone for every Pokemon. Because Pokemon are shaped like friends.
It's true.
That is actually a truly great way
My daughter's
to describe
favorite
it.
Pokemon is a Ditto Pikachu because my wife got her a plush and she didn't realize it was Ditto until she brought it home and looked at its weird little beady serial killer eyes. And I was like, that's a Ditto. And she's like, oh shit. And now Lily prefers the Ditto Pikachu to the regular
Wow.
Pikachu.
So what's your favorite Pokemon, Jason?
Eevee.
An Eevee, okay. Mine is Gengar.
That's
My son's
so
is
surprising.
Gengar as well.
That's so
Are you
surprising.
surprised I like Eevee?
Yes, because that's like that's the mainstream favorite Pokemon behind Pikachu.
Is it?
Yes,
It is pretty popular, yeah.
they
Very
literally
cute.
made it "Let's Go Pikachu" and "Let's Go Eevee" as well.
I know,
that's-
and I was like super jazzed about Let's Go Eevee because like when I was playing Go, I was collecting every Eevee and it was just making a ton of all of them. Like Eevee can be anything; it's amazing.
It could even be a boat.
All right, well, I guess there you go. You keep in mind, yours are probably damaged at home because if you're like me, you did play them on concrete, and all of a sudden you now understand why there are scratched up Black Lotuses and Moxes and Duels.
Oh yeah,
you have to
When
learn
I
that
was
one.
discovering sleeves in 1997. My brother was discovering that like you could take Pokemon cards to school and just play them on gravel.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Well,
My
there
brother, at the same time he was jacking up his Pokemon cards, was sleeving his Magic cards. He was like this weird transition generation. So like, well, I'm gonna take care of my good shit, but like, sorry, Chansey, you're getting your shit ripped up, and there's nothing. The backs all need to match.
I did the same thing. I sleeved my Yu-Gi-Oh deck and didn't sleeve my Pokemon or Naruto cards.
we legit kept all of our
can we talk
Pokemon.
about the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh cards were different size, and I bought a collection from a guy who had German Magic cards. He wasn't German. He lived in Ohio, but he bought German cards, and he had good foil German shit that he cut with scissors to fit it into a Yu-Gi-Oh sleeve.
Oh. Ooh.
He cut the entire right border off of these German foils to fit them in a Yu-Gi-Oh.
That was
Wow,
not
that's-
going where I thought it was, and
That's something right there.
You saved $4.99.
Oh wow. We used to
much
keep all of our cards in
Cutting up a German foil Molder Slug to fit it in.
up until about the year I'd say 2010, 2011. We kept all of our old Pokemon decks in rubber bands.
Yeah.
So
You should have to do that.
Hashtag Gonti.
yeah, I mean it looks exactly like that. Well, I mean, even it in play condition, there was some amount of money, and more than that, not only are they worth money, you might be able to play them.
All right.
Paul, Liz, tell us about Pokemon 99.
Is it cool if I run point on this one, Paul?
Yeah, go nuts.
Cool. So Pokemon 99, quite simply, is Pokemon cards printed in the year 1999, which means that it is base set through Fossil, in addition to the first 5 WotC Black Star promos, which is like 4 unplayable Pikachus and a very good Mewtwo.
What about
The format is pretty broken. You get to play with like 4 Wheel of Fortunes and 4 Pot of Greeds in your deck. In fact, if you're playing with less than 4 Pot of Greeds, you should just like log off and never think about card games again. And beyond that, there's a very good story as to how it got started. I received a phone call from a local who had a collection for me to buy, and I had eaten like double the dose of an edible about 20 minutes prior to this phone call.
Okay.
That's how I do it.
as you do.
Reasonable person does, and I head over to make the buy, and I get there, and as I sit down, we're like sitting 6 feet apart, wearing masks. He sets the cards on the table, and the edible hits, and so I am straight torqued, just completely zooted the entire time I'm pricing this like collection of like HP Underground Sea, HP Tropical Island, boring shit. And the guy says, "Hey man, you want to buy a Tame Impala record?" And I'm like, "I think, as a matter of fact, I do." So I buy a Tame Impala record, and then he's like, "Hey man, you want to buy a PS1?" And I'm high, so I say, "Yeah man, I think I do." And he's like, "Hey man, you want to buy like 7 graphics cards for computers that haven't been relevant in 5 years?" And I was like, "You upsold me too hard there, bud." And he brings out 2 copies.
I would rather have graphics cards that can't be used on computers anymore than listen to a Tame Impala record. So,
I have not pulled that record out of its original wrapping yet, and I don't intend to. And then he brings out 2 Haymaker decks, which is like the de facto best Pokemon deck from old school, and says, "Do you want to buy these? You can just battle them against each other." And I said, "Abso-fucking-lutely." So I paid the dude $80 for 2 Haymaker decks, got home, told Paul about it, and Paul was like, "What if we just played with cards from 1999? Enormous bong rip. Wouldn't that be fun?"
And
So,
now Pokemon 99 is the equivalent of 93, 94 Magic or old school Magic, and it is taking off, right?
Yeah, in like 2 weeks, our Discord has a couple hundred people. Tons of people buying into the format. We kind of broke the market on accident.
Because you all just rushed and bought out all the cards on the market, like all the relevant ones.
Yeah, we all bought like 20 HP copies.
Yeah, so like the buy-in is super cheap. Actually cheaper than like the format that's more traditional, which is Rocket through Neo. Because like the way that like base set stuff matured is like, so like an MP HP Unlimited Blastoise is like $60-$70, but like a sleeve playable Hitmonchan is like $6, and so like you can build a real deck in the format for like $100. Maybe it's like $130 now because like 200 people randomly bought cards that were printed in 1999. But the buy-in is still super cheap for the format. So like people did shit like I did, where I just like bought 32 item finders so I can just build a bunch of decks and stuff like that.
Okay, well there you go. Is it fun to play?
Oh yeah,
I think
it's
so.
a ton of fun. So it's a very weird.
We
format.
play Magic. Anything is more fun to play than
Well,
Magic. I don't
yeah.
know if you know this, but like if you played any other game, it's like way better than Magic, and like we still love Magic. So
When I was a kid, I would go to the grocery store with my mom every week and look at the Pojo magazine, and I'd do the puzzle in the back, the "Can you win this turn" puzzle, and I would read about the different cards, and I'd look at the price guide in the back because that was the thing. You know, it's basically Scry magazine. And I remember the first time I saw results from a tournament. You know, Haymaker and Rain Dance, and I think there was probably a third one. It was very cool. It was so the idea that not only are those cards something to think about again, but maybe I could pull those decks out of their rubber band and give them a shot. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, so like the format is basically a bunch of, coming from Magic, it's a bunch of broken engines with literally no payoff.
like imagine just a ton of mana on turn one to like
You get Jeweled
play
Lotus, but
that
you don't
storm that storm spell that gives you 3
Yeah.
life or like blows up an enchantment.
you get Jeweled Lotus, but you don't have a commander.
It's like you're using Black Lotus to cast Slippery Bogle plus 2 Hyena Umbras.
That sounds fine.
Right, yeah, that's why the format. Because like you try really hard to do this thing that's like kind of okay. But you drew like 20 cards to do it.
Or you could
But
be
like
like me and
Pokemon is
Emma.
also one of those games where like the equivalent of a mull to 5 in Magic is just like you lose because you have one Pokemon on your bench and they knock it out and you're like, okay.
Also, the entire game is based around flipping coins.
That too.
Oh,
I
are
live
all my
for
combo
the
pieces
record.
in my prize cards? Wow, this was fun. Like imagine a game of Magic the Gathering where you had to take 5 cards out of your deck and not have access to them, and it's just like, oh, did you need those? Were those important?
That's just why you play 2 Tendrils of Agony in your deck.
Yeah.
That's
Good
true.
thing.
And then just hope, yeah. Well, it's very interesting. So let's talk a little bit about people who may want to, try to dabble in this, right? If you're already trying to grind Magic collections, it's kind of a natural extension to maybe at least think about picking up the Pokemon cards. Is there value to bulk Pokemon? Is there value to newer Pokemon cards? Like, if this is, what should people be looking for, I guess, if they're trying to sort of work this in alongside Magic?
So
Do you want to go?
when you're, yeah, I'll fire off. So I'll talk about bulk specifically.
Uh-huh.
Pokemon bulk is like $30 1,000 on Troll and Toad.
That's a lot.
It used to be like 60, but then someone did some stuff and messed up the market. Now it's 30. But the fact that like you can just go to someone and say, "Hey, I'm going to pay you $100 for your whole collection," and you make back like 60 of it in bulk immediately, means it's just super easy to buy collections and actually make money on them.
I mean, I remember back when Pokemon Go came out in 2016, bulk spiked then too.
That makes sense, actually.
We are
Now
also
it's-
coming up on the 25th anniversary of Pokemon too.
Oh, wow. Wait, the what?
25th anniversary.
When will that be? Will that
25th.
like when is that? How far away are we?
Next year, I guess. Because
Yeah,
came out in
from
96,
Japan.
right?
I didn't know that. There you go.
96. Pokemon.
It's good to know.
4-year-old girls hate it when you call it Pocket Mans and then say that you have to capture all of them. I don't know if you know this, but like in my limited testing, I know that 4-year-old girls hate it when you call it Pocket Mans.
Wow. Do y'all watch the? Is she into watching any of the cartoons of Pokemon, Jason?
Yeah, she loves all of it.
Okay.
I mean,
We,
she,
Like all this on Netflix, which is what, like Sun and Moon and Indigo League.
They have everything. Well, they have everything on Netflix. They have Pokemon Journeys, which is the new one.
Pokemon Journeys is so good.
It's okay.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's
Cool.
the Pichu, first episode is kind of cool.
I'm not showing her Digimon because I don't want her like grown up super weird. Like she's gonna come home from college a furry or some shit, and then she's gonna be like, "You let me watch Digimon?" I'll be like, "Yeah, that's my fault."
Look, there's some really questionable stuff in the original Pokemon. We've watched it since this plague started. We went through the entire thing. There was some really, really questionable situations.
Are you talking about like
and
the
things
episodes
said.
that got cut and never released to English? Or
I'm talking about a normal episode on Netflix.
I thought the only episode that was cut was because they're like, "Hey, what if Pikachu flashed at 3 times per second?" And a bunch of kids with epilepsy was like, "Yeah, what if that happened?"
It is true that there was that was the
Porygon episode, and then there was also the episode.
There was the Tentacruel episode that
there was the Tentacruel episode that aired right after 9/11.
They also did a small transphobia in one episode.
Oh,
well, listen,
the one where James had boobs, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm giving you something as simple as just a normal episode on Netflix where an adult doctor is creeping the hell out of Misty. Like, it is overtly...
What, James?
It is overtly sexual. It's just an adult doctor on the show. They're like, save our Pikachus. They're save someone's life. And the doctor's like, okay, for you, little girl. It's really, really...
Misty was so into it. She was more into him than he was into her.
This is just
that
something...
makes it worse.
It's just something
me,
frankly. I was just something we were watching one day. And I was like, what is happening? I cannot believe the things they let air. But
I know the episode with the guns got cut from English too, because Ash goes to the Safari Zone and like the warden just pulls a pistol out and aims it in his face, and then they cut the entire episode. And then Ash for the rest of the series always had like 75 Toros for no reason, because they didn't explain why he caught them in that episode. The episode was just cut.
You'd think that's the episode they'd let be in America.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
To be fair, I will not be featured on any of the episode that makes it to air.
JJ, cut back in with that, please.
When DJ gets done cutting, I won't be featured at all.
Cut back in with Jason saying that. That's all I ask. Everybody, if you want to listen to that, please go to patreon.com/BSB. You can sign up for the after hours, which is certainly at A tier that Jason definitely knows. And you can hear all of that after hours. I promise it's worth it.
Subscribe.
You can download the After Hours library and then leave.
Subscribe, you cowards.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's talk
We're
about.
up at 1 a.m. doing God's work for you. Like the damn video.
$10 a month, which is about as much as you would make losing a dog fight in some tall grass to someone who didn't even see because they were behind a rock. That's some bullshit. Like, I should be able to just walk straight and not have to fight this guy. But he's like, ooh, look at me. I have 3 butterflies. I'm like, I'm just trying to get out of this dungeon. I don't want to fight your butterflies. For less than the amount of money you would lose to that guy, because, like, all your Pokemon are knocked out except for the one that's poisoned at, like, 3 HP. But, like, even though it's poisoned, it keeps missing for some reason. Like, why does it miss? Poison shouldn't make it miss. For less than the amount of money you lose to that guy, you could subscribe to our Patreon and have access to the after hours.
It's 20.
You can hear all my Poke opinions.
There you go.
It's 20 Poke dollars a month.
Principle applies. Wow. So I guess what you're saying is people should go buy Pokemon bulk because the bulk itself is worth money. I do have to mention here.
Catch it all.
I do have to mention that if you are interested in this, our sponsor channel Fireball actually just got into Pokemon themselves. That was, to be clear, in no way the impetus for this episode. I wanted to talk about Pokemon, so I was like, let's do this, please. But channel Fireball is now also doing Pokemon content.
Can you imagine if we brought Liz and Paul on just as shill for channel Fireball? That would be amazing.
That would be incredible.
It's like, hey, did you invent a new format? Because you're going to do a 1 hour long ad read.
That is out there if anybody would like to go find more about Pokemon. But more than that, I guess I'm going to just start.
Does Channel Fireball buy Pokemon?
That's a great question.
Maybe they should. If you don't want to, if you bought it for like nothing and you just want to buy list it, just throw it in a box, send it to Channel Fireball, and they will determine whether it's worth money. And you know what? Channel Fireball's got a really good track record of just you sending them crap that's facing different directions in a box, and they set, sort, alphabetize, rank, price, and send you a check. You have to do zero work. You just had to package it all up and send it to them. If you're the kind of person that doesn't have the kind of time to be digging through your own bulk, just box it up, send it to CFB, let them catch it all, man. Let them do all the stuff.
All right.
Can I go on
They're
a
the Pokemon breeder. You're like, here's a thing, here's an egg, good luck, and then they will send you a hatched Pokemon in the form of a check. I feel like I really brought the metaphor around there.
You did.
Yeah, not bad.
All right. So I have
I
a
have,
question. I have a question.
What up?
So when in the few times that I have sorted and picked Pokemon bulk, I have held to a rule when picking, and that is to pick every starter, pick anything that a 5-year-old would describe as cute, and then pick every like anything that says draw a card on it. Is that a good rule of thumb?
No.
Depending on how much work you want to put in. So, like, it's gotten a little bit more complicated than that. So there's a couple of things that you can do. One of them is that if you really want to get into it, you look at what the app. So you go to trading card rankings on Amazon, and then you look at the bulk lots within the top 100. And they're going to have weird qualifiers like 20 Pokemon with 100 HP or like 3 megas, things like that. Like, obviously you pull out any foils, but it's
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than that, especially now that things have gotten weird, because there's some sets where you basically are just supposed to pick everything. Like, I don't think there's like,
So
I think you pick like every Chaparral's card.
That makes sense. They have like their future sites and their lore wins.
So to be clear, the best place for people looking, TCG Player is a good resource for Pokemon prices.
For the beat stuff, you're probably going to find, yes. This does kind of lead me into a little bit of a diatribe for people that are getting into, or looking at getting into Pokemon or moving some money over.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's a couple of things. One, you should really do your research so that you, one, know what a Shadowless card actually is. Two, know how to tell what a fake Charizard looks like. Those are two big things. But the other thing is that the eBay completed listings for graded Pokemon and some ungraded stuff, mostly the graded stuff, is a little bit more complicated than what meets the eye. So Logic paid like 184 grand or whatever, plus like the buyer fee for that PSA 10 slabbed first ed Charizard. But a lot of these eBay completed listings are for the graded stuff are private, where you can't see the bidder IDs, which means that you can't really tell if this is one or two people just bidding up items so that they can be sold later, given that we have an established market price at a certain number. Some companies have been caught doing things like this in the past and gotten into trouble with it, but I think that's something that's definitely happening now. You're seeing this in some of like the slab 10 Charizards from the last 2 or 3 years that are reaching like fairly astronomical 4 and 5 figure numbers, where you'll just see all of a sudden like bids get retracted and the card going from being at like 9K bids with like a day left to like 4,700. And so if you're getting into the cheapy stuff, like you're buying bulk, you're buying local collections or whatever, you're going to be all right. You're not going to find any of this stuff to worry about. Or if you find something really nice that you do your research, you don't want to get graded, that's okay.
Yeah, for what it's worth.
Because you're buying it cheap. But if you are buying expensive stuff, you need to be very careful. Because, like I said, there's fakes. Some of the eBay data might not be accurate or reflecting actual demand in the market. And the other thing is that...
Oh, sorry. I was just going to add, the TCG Player app that a lot of us use to scan prices for Magic actually does Pokemon as well.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, my son has like some newish, I have no idea what it's worth, some Venusaur that we found somewhere and he wanted to have it. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then we were working on Magic cards one night, and he was like, is my card worth money too, Daddy? And I was like, yeah, let's find out. And it just scanned it. So yeah, TCG Player actually has Pokemon in its database.
Oh, that's nice. The other biggest thing about the expensive stuff is that So, and this is something that's relevant in Magic and trading cards, Yu-Gi-Oh, everything, is that the grading companies, especially the major established ones, are backed up something like 12 to 18 months right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which means a couple of things. One is that the supply of really nice unslab stuff is temporarily really pinched because a lot of it's literally sitting in like PSA and Beckett's like warehouse because they're backlogged for literally a year. The other thing it means is that if you're trying to get into graded stuff, is that there's going to be a fairly significant market retrace on the graded stuff because there's a legitimate portion of the population chilling at those grading companies waiting to get graded. So as with anything, where if you're going to start spending like real money, like 4 or 5 figures on stuff, or like even 3 figures, really be careful and really do your research and make sure you know what you're doing first, because there's a lot of things going on in this market that are a little bit more complicated, not necessarily the stuff that you see on the surface. Was that diatribe good? Sorry.
That was very good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Info dense and
It's
like
fine.
relevant.
We're gonna cut it, but like that's just for
No,
time.
I was gonna
because
ask if there's anything else we should you like about Pokemon you want us to ask about or you want to touch on
Now,
before
you-
we move on to like
When you are looking at Pokemon cards, you have to be very careful because I thought I had a $300 Charizard, and it turns out it was Charizard Total Landscaping, which is an easy mistake to make.
episode
I
title
guess, apparently.
episode title Charizard. Oh, that's great, Jason. Well, Paul, is there anything else we
Those
should...
two things. How could a reasonable person distinguish those two things without being like
It's
between a
inexplicable.
Pokemon card and
you're
a
blameless.
landscaping place between a dildo store and a grab?
You're
pit?
blameless.
Like,
You're blameless. No
how
one could have
could
known.
anyone who hasn't spent hundreds of hours scrutinizing Pokemon cards even distinguish those two things?
You're asking the right questions.
I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that the failure to discern between those two things disqualifies you from running the coronavirus task force, I guess is what I'm saying. Right? Like, if you're the cybersecurity czar for the entire US, like, yeah, maybe you'll make a mistake like that and not know how to unlock your phone and get tricked by Borat. Like, maybe all those things could happen to you. That's all I'm saying.
As far as something else to look out for, I was looking at a collection today that had something in it that I couldn't find any information about. Like, it was just an oversized version of the Skyridge Charizard. It wasn't a box topper. I asked like 3 people who know about Pokemon oddities, and they had no information on what it was. Eventually, I found out that it was like apparently like a special release thing that at certain Pokemon centers had. And stuff like that might be collectible, and I don't know, if you find something in the collection you don't know what it is, like probably grab it because it's going to be worth something substantial to someone.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're just infinite Pokemon merch. There's going to be something like that in some collections.
Is Birthday Pikachu worth money? I remember that one from when I was a kid.
It is for now.
Do what? It is for now?
Yeah.
It's a cool one.
Yeah, I think the foil's like $80, and I think I don't remember what the non-foil is.
Like 60, I think.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, Paul, anything else you want to add to Pokemon conversation here before we wrap it up?
Be careful about graded stuff. Don't buy fake cards. Be very careful about
Well,
expensive stuff.
talk real quick about the fake cards then. I mean, is the reason like how much of a concern is that? Is there a bunch of them? What can people do without getting too technical? You know, what are some red flags?
So there's a couple of things. First of all, so you'll see this on eBay too, but I mean, people locally are going to do it. Is like people are just calling everything Shadowless in first edition, despite that just not being that. Especially for like for the base set, they made a set called Base Set 2 that had a lot of the cards.
You know what?
reprinted on it.
I can help.
Right, you probably have some.
I actually
they have a
base
set symbol.
in a base set.
Yeah, they have that little set symbol with the 2. And they're worth less than obviously the unlimited stuff. It's the think of it functionally as kind of like revised, honestly.
And then this
So-
Charizard here, people can see talking about the shadow, right? Right along the top here.
No, that's the wrong side. Shadow's on the right.
Sorry. Okay, see where I'm at here. Explain that to people, though. I'll hold the card up so they can see, but explain to people what they're looking for.
Sure. So the easiest way to do this is just to Google it, because there's some pretty easy little web forums that have like good pictures on it. But so basically what happened is the first edition of base set, they printed them without like basically artist accents, if that makes sense. And so they don't have a black line on the right-hand side of the picture that I think goes to the bottom as well. But the easiest way to tell an actual Pokemon is the right side of the picture has this dark shadow on it, or right outside the picture frame. First edition ones
right outside the yellow part.
Right. First edition cards from base set are going to have a first edition stamp. There's two kinds of stamps. There's a faded stamp and a thick stamp. That, depending on the card, can change the value a little bit to people who really give a shit. But at that point, you're just buying first edition base set stuff. So holographic cards are going to run a little bit thicker. They're generally going to be curled. You should be very careful if someone is trying to sell you a holographic card that's literally 21 years old that looks like it's a PSA 9, because the odds of that happening are fairly astronomical. So just the biggest thing for Pokemon is that sometimes you're going to get deals that are too good to be true, but there's also a lot of people that are aware of that are just trying to you. And
so you do due diligence just like in Magic.
Right. Like, I mean, if you haven't bought a ton of Underground Seas and you just buy somebody's Underground Sea without really knowing how to tell if it's fake or not, and it's fake, then you're the one who f***ed up. Like, they scummed you, and that's not okay, but you still made the mistake. And similar situation here.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. Well, that's enough Pokemon, everybody. If you enjoyed it, we're glad, and hopefully you learned something. At the very least, I know for a fact that before I cared to learn about any of this, sometimes you go to buy Magic collections and people talk about Pokemon and bring it in. I think that's how I ended up with some of the cards I have now. So at the very least, you may know more about it now than you did before. But we're going to pivot back to Magic, and we're going to do Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
We'll let the guests go first. Paul, do you want to start us off with Pick of the Week?
Yeah, my pick of the week is Seagate Stormcaller. It's like $2.50, $3 on TCG, and is an EDH playable wizard. Going into a year where WotC is basically printing nothing but tribal associated sets, one of which is literally at a wizard school. And it's a mythic, and traditionally the MTG market dips its lowest in the calendar year during the last 2 weeks of November into like the first week of December. And so you're basically, especially for the fall standard set, so you're basically buying it at the floor right now at like $3. This card was pre-selling at like 15 and even like opened at like 7 or 8 before going to like 5 and then slowly falling down. One of the best things about this card is that even if it never sees any standard play next year, even with the Wizard set or whatever, it's a great EDH card. It's a great tribal EDH card. And so you have, at the very least, casual demand and the potential for multiple demand channels to like make the card pop when it actually does pop.
It's also very playable and historic, and so if WotC ever makes a switch from Pioneer to historic, slam dunk there.
Yeah, that's it's part of that combo deck there that allows for a very large attack step, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. It's like a Splitter Twin combo.
Speed. Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty nice. Which I suppose, if that was a real thing, it makes Neoform. I believe that's the combo piece in the deck. Worth noting as a breaking bulk.
Also, like Dualcaster Mage would become something too.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Liz, did you have a pick of the week?
I do. My pick of the week is a Double Masters rare. It is Isochron Scepter. Card's like $5, maybe $6 right now, and that's pretty cheap for that card. That card will see $11 again someday. Probably not too far from now.
God, everything in that set is so cheap.
Yeah,
it is.
Mhm.
I think my spec box is like more than half Double Masters cards right now. The other half is
Yeah.
like Niv Mizzet Reborns.
That is
Yeah,
a good
2x.
card as well.
All right.
2XM, like I said, is functionally underpriced.
Oh, for sure. I have a Homelands card.
Okay. Spring it on us, buddy.
Is it a musical instrument?
No, it is not a didgeridoo.
Okay.
But this is a card that I used to play in a commander deck of my own a while ago, and it has crept up to $1. So I thought about having it as my breaking bulk, but I don't know why it has crept up over the past year or so. It's just something that I think might have gotten like a little bit of YouTube hype. Maybe some budget commander video got a spotlight on it or something like that. But this is a 4-mana green enchantment called Primal Order. At the beginning of each...
Oh, you sack all your lands.
No,
That was a hottie.
No, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player takes damage equal to the number of non-basic lands they control.
Oh.
So if you're playing all...
What was I thinking? I was thinking the one from Nemesis, whatever that is.
If you're playing all basics and you're up against some $500 Nekusar deck, they're going to take a bunch of damage every turn. This is just like a very powerful card that has just, I think, just gone under the radar. It's roughly $1, and it has 2 printings, one in Homelands.
2 printings, right? It was like Homelands and 5th edition?
That is correct. And the 5th edition one is white border, so obviously I don't like it as much.
And the art sucks, too, on the 5th edition.
Well, this is just, it seems very hard to reprint. Like, I don't know why they would ever put this in anything. And it just seems like the card that if the right YouTuber puts their hands on it, or if Josh Lee Kwai slams it on the table at some point, then it's a $7 card. Immediately.
Well, you were right about Ruination, so I could see this.
Like, this is just a very, very obscure card that has a very powerful effect that I don't think enough people have read.
Here's the
And
real
I think
question.
it does double duty by working harder for players who are more on a budget with like their 2-color deck that only plays a few non-basics, and you can build your deck to make this more powerful, which I like a lot.
There you go.
It's
All
also-
right, I'm going to come in. I've got, you may hate me for the pick, but I'm going to say Filter Lands from Double Masters. I know it is more than one, but it's a cycle of lands that was quite expensive before. And granted, it was from, a set that produced a bunch of expensive cards for a bunch of logistical reasons. So I'm not saying we're going to see Wooded Bastion be $20 again or something like that. That said, the filter lands are very cheap right now in Double Masters. We're talking $4 or $5. So I have to think that it seems like probably a decent time to get those. Just they're pretty good in Commander. Going to probably climb back up to $10 over the next year or two. All right, did we get everybody? Jason?
No, you sure didn't.
Let's hear it, buddy.
Can you guess, as of Monday, the 10th, or the 9th, I guess, Monday the 9th of November, what the most built EDH deck across all these sites that are scraped by EDH Rec is? Can you guess the number one most popular brand new Commander Legends commander?
My guess would be the ending turn one because Final Fortune spiked.
Obeka Brute Chronologist is lapping all other commanders. Around Me of the Dead Tide, the uncommon, is number 2. Wyleth, Soul of Steel, the mythic in Boros, is number 3. Belbay, Corrupted Observers, number 4. And Arkelos, Lagoon, Stuff Comes Into Play Tapped or Untapped, guys, number 5. Brute Chronologist is lapping everybody. I really like Sundial the Infinite at $2 right now. It's selling out. And as much as like Last Chance went to 25 and Final Fortune went to 10, Sundial the Infinite is still a couple of bucks, and that has only got 2 printings. Mystery Booster, The List, and 2012 core set. So Sundial the Infinite still gettable around $2. If you can get this under 5, go for it. Because for whatever reason, Obeka Brute Chronologist and the Turn Tribal is really hot right now, and I kind of think those Sundials are going to be in high demand So this is probably a quick flip and rip, but like we just don't have a ton of data. Like who knows if Gen Arcanum Weaver or Blim Comedic Genius will be number 1 in 2 weeks when like all the dust settles. But like before the dust settles, you should know that the stuff in Obeka Brute Chronologist is hot. Go to edhrec.com, select Obeka, look what is in those decks, because EDHREC scrapes all the sites that where people are building it and sort of like condenses all the data. Is like, well, 74% of the people that build this deck are running Feldon. 68 are running Final Fortune, 63% Glorious End. So like you get a breakdown like that. You can see what the most popular cards is in those hot decks that people are building right now. And even if that doesn't continue, you'll have those sundials on hand when they spike to like $6-7, or you'll have the Whip of Erebos or the Discontinuity, or hey, even Liz's Isochron Scepter, which features in about 40% of those decks. So get all that like goes away at the end of the turn junk. Have it ready to sell when people get their boxes, get their Obeka, and start to build the deck. Because even though like the market's become way more efficient in the age of technology, people are still sort of waiting till they get their physical commander to build the deck. I don't know why, but prices lag a little bit on EDH, and that's why I love that format so much for finance purposes.
There you go. Absolutely. Well, everybody, I think that about does it for us. Thank you so much for listening. As always, remember to go check out our sponsor channel Fireball, as well as go to OMA to check out that website. If you want any art, that's you can use our affiliate link we talked about earlier, and go check out all that. Paul, Liz, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for talking to us about Pokemon. This was a really neat introduction for something for people to learn. Hopefully I certainly know more now than I did at the beginning of the episode. So thank you so much for coming on, you two.
Of course.
It was a pleasure to learn about just incredibly.
No.
Probably going to get that one censored here in the episode,
Yes.
but that is a
That
reminder.
was DJ's doing.
That is a reminder to go listen to that after hours. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We're Brainstorm Brewery. We'll see you next week.
There's a cast in there somewhere, which seems to be the theme.